I had a question. I posted on Insta. I'm sorry, I posted on Twitter, and it was a legitimate question that I wanted to ask people. Where I said, it says, is Hollywood filled with demonic people pretending to be lame, artsy edgelords, or is it filled with lame, artsy edgelords pretending to be demonic? I thought of this because it was the Jamie Lee Curtis thing that we talked about the other day, right, Mary? Mm-hmm. Like, we talked about that, but now I have actual questions. If you guys have not seen this is Madonna releases disturbing photo shoot with Vanity Fair featuring dead babies and references to the occult. These are the pictures. Paul Joseph Watson posted them. Yes. A bunch of other people posted them. We will look at them really quick. So
here she is wearing pieces of baby dolls that are decapitated and have their limbs severed into a corset-like structure around her body, and she's screaming at the camera. In other photos, she is dressed like a version of Jesus at a blasphemous mockery of the Last Supper around a bunch of half-naked women wearing Burger King crowns.
Burger King crowns.
And in other photos, she is imitating the Virgin Mary. Like in the Vanity Fair cover for this feature, she is dressed up as Our Lady of Sorrows with this the Sorrowful Heart medallion on her, and she is doing what Madonna has been known to do, which is use Catholic imagery to mock the religion, but use it to sell her products and her songs.
30 years later, Mom, it's definitely not a phase.
I mean, it's giving like wannabe edgelord, just like we said in our thumbnail.
Yeah.
And this hasn't been cool for so long.
No.
Obviously, since I'm Catholic, I am offended by this as it makes a mockery of my religion, but I think what's more important, if we're talking about it from a pop culture perspective, is like, you're not cool.
I'm offended by the 30 years lack of creativity. The fact that you're not
done this.
that you're not railing against something different in 30 years. Your life is just boring.
It's just like worn out at this point. I mean, the UK government just agreed that Demi Lovato's cover, which is like holy whatever. That idea that we're like, oh, to show that we're bad and we're so provocative, we're going to mock Christianity, or specifically the Roman Catholic Church. And I think part of that's just because they have such an ornate kind of tradition. There's more structure, there's more recognizable imagery. I just don't think that like Madonna, like wearing baby dolls is both disgusting, but also like you look older and older all the time. Like you're wearing a corset, you have your boobs up to wherever, and you're never going to become the sex symbol you think you were at one time. Why are you doing this? Like, age gracefully, put some pants on, and like leave the baby dolls alone.
She has drastically altered her appearance with plastic surgery, and she's just filled to the brim with fillers, and she can't accept that she is a has-been. Yep. And is clinging to this urge to offend or to scandalize, and it's not working because we don't live in the culture in which Madonna first rose to stardom anymore.
And she'll do anything to try and stay relevant. Wasn't there like, she posted some TikTok video, which, by the way, which one of her assistants had to be like, TikTok is this thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Drink from this water bowl on the floor.
It's so super. She does her weird bath things.
The bath thing's weird.
No. She had her like, she's like, if I miss, I'm gay. And she like threw a pair of underwear near a like trash can or something, and then was like, is she coming out as gay, or is she just trying to co-opt gay culture so that she can seem relevant? Like, this person is so desperate for attention. You have so much money, just fade away, do something else. You know what I mean?
People called it daring and thought-provoking, to which I say, daring in what way and what question? Like, I'm legitimately asking the question, what thoughts does it provoke?
Was it daring and thought-provoking when every other mainstream celebrity did it at the Met Gala, did it on their album cover?
40 years ago, it might have been daring and thought-provoking.
It would be daring and thought-provoking today if she did it for, I don't know, the Mormon Church, Judaism.
The first thing I thought of was Islam, now do Islam.
Like, maybe even of atheism.
If she did Islam or atheism, I would like then be like, yes, interesting, bold choice, Madonna.
But that actually would be a dangerous artistic decision.
Right. Yep. This is actually safe. No, like obviously I feel terrible about this, but like the part everyone mocks the Catholics. Like, y'all are an easy target.
There's nothing more annoying than a bunch of wannabe edgelords who then claim that they're fighting the system when they're not fighting any system that's been in power since the Reagan administration.
Which wasn't even Catholicism, by the way. In America, Catholicism was never the status quo. It was a Protestant Anglo-Saxon regime.
It was a huge deal when JFK got elected because he was the first Catholic president, and they had to actually ask him, like, but if you're president, like, are you going to take orders from the Pope?
Right, exactly.
Like, that was not that long ago.
Who are you rebelling against? And the front for this is always, I'm pushing back against the way that the Catholic Church and Christianity in general has repressed my sexuality as a woman.
Did she grow up Catholic? Like, what ties does she have to the Catholic Church to decide that she's the one to mock it? You know what I mean?
Her biological, her actual name is Madonna. Like, her legal name is
to her.
I'm saying, like, it's been part of her life for a long time. So
because she changed
she's just
it to that.
never she's
By
just
the way,
never
it
grown out
means
of it.
my lady, which is a term that has only been used to refer to the Virgin Mary. Yeah. And she has been doing this edgelord nonsense since the beginning of her career.
The part I find the most insulting is, like, if you want to, like, bash on Christianity because you don't like Christianity, fine, but at least say that that's your stated goal. Don't say it's because you're being brave and standing up for something, because you're not being brave and standing up for something you're not risking anything. There's not a single thing that will be risked by doing this. This is approved by every art director, every producer, every studio exec there is. There isn't a person who's like, okay, Let's have a hypothetical discussion where she's at Vanity Fair. They're like, we're going to give you this cover for this Icons issue. And she's like, ooh, I've got this really, really crazy idea. Let's mock the Catholic Church. And they're like, whatever.
Madonna?
How will
Madonna
we stand
would
the backlash
if
we do that?
13 the Devil Wears Prada quote, florals for spring. How
right.
groundbreaking. Mocking the Catholic Church in public. How groundbreaking, Madonna.
Especially in Italy.
Now it reminds me of, like, when Obama wore the was it like colors before spring or something like that? He wore like a white, a khaki suit or something when he wasn't supposed to. Like, you're just pushing back on something, and all of this time, the real creepy stuff is left in the backdrop, and that's her stuff with the charity in Malawi. Is it Malawi?
In South Africa.
In South Africa, where she has 4 kids that are adopted from, and the Ethiopian.
But she didn't have to comply with any of the rules for.
The Ethiopian World Foundation has asked the president to restrict adoptions from there because there's just too much of a risk that celebrities are going to use them for nefarious purposes.
No, I mean, this was a big deal in the early 2000s when I think it's Mercy James is her daughter who she adopted. Like, you're supposed to live in, I don't remember which country her daughter's from, but you're supposed to live there for a year. Yeah. Right? And like, this is true for a lot of African countries. Like, when you're adopting, you need to spend significant time there. It's a huge sacrifice, especially for families that already have children. And Madonna is like, no worries. Well, suddenly she has a baby, and that baby's family is like, no, we didn't want her to go. Like,
she hasn't followed the rules on any of her adoptions from Malawi. One of them has an estranged father who claims he was told he would get his child back eventually, but she planned on deceiving him and keeping the child. And then there's a set of twins that have family members saying the same thing, saying they thought we were going to send our child to a rich white woman's home in America to get an education, and then they would be brought back to the family.
And they she's just like, psych, I'm not bringing them back. No takesy backsies.
What if she did hit this cover, but it was all about international kidnapping? Right. That would have been daring and provocative.
I mean, the timing is certainly interesting. And also, the Ethiopian World Federation is saying that her first adopted son, David Banda, I believe, is being used by her for basically like social conditioning, and she's doing social experimentation on her adoptees that is like, I don't know, indoctrinating them with this like gender goblin stuff. Like, I said gender goblin yesterday and everyone was like, oh my gosh.
It's the same thing that Angelina Jolie.
But it's true.
They're literal purse puppies.
She's like dressing her son in dresses and heels and makeup.
Yeah. I will say, I think Angelina Jolie, I have no evidence that she didn't comply with literal law to adopt her children, right? Like,
sure.
Madonna is so sketchy. It gets weirder. And the weird thing was, when it was happening, everyone was like, I don't know that you're allowed to do that. And then anyways, 20 years later,
she's just allowed to do it.
She's allowed to do it.
She filed an appeal in 2009, and then the court allowed her to adopt her daughter anyways. So then she got away with that, and then she got away with adopting 2 more after that in 2017.
Also, like, didn't her biological daughter, like, get I could be totally wrong in this, emancipated when she was pretty young. Like, they were living. I thought Madonna was based in London and her daughter was like very famously living in New York, and she's maybe a model or something now. But like, I remember the time being like, wow, you really fled your mom's house immediately.
Jacob Edler is right, guys. If you have not yet liked this video, please like this video. We are at 500 watching and only 140 likes. So please like this video. I want to read one more quote from the Evie article. Evie is like, am I the only guy in America who considers Evie like important reading? I love Evie.
Evie's glad great. You got put on to Evie.
Yes. This is an article. I'm gonna go here really quick. It says Madonna's 1992 book titled "Sex" was cited in the petition. They're talking about the petition with the president of Malawi, which features adult content, softcore porn, and sadomasochism. Pornographic content and LGBTQ conduct is punishable by law in the country of Malawi. Gay porn stars were photographed in pornographic pictures with Madonna performing vulgar sex acts with the same sex, which should have been disclosed during her adoption case in 2006. It says, Madonna continues, she had to sign a contract that forbade the book from including images of child pornography, bestiality, or religious imagery. Shortly after signing this agreement, Madonna founded a company called Maverick, a partnership with Time Warner. She now holds total artistic control over any work released by Maverick, who is now the book's publisher. The agreement she signed with Time Warner with the sexually explicit material in the book was null and void. The petition argues that the psychology behind Madonna's ability to release child pornography, religious imagery, bestiality, and vulgar pornography has prompted her to open an orphanage in Malawi, Raising Malawi in 2006. That was the name of the orphanage, to host social experiments on vulnerable African children in Malawi. How about this? At the very least, like, shouldn't the idea here be like hedge your bets? Like, in a world full of people to adopt your children to, maybe you don't adopt them to the person who's releasing books and material that could in some way endanger children.
That's not necessarily being disclosed to these parents, right?
Yes.
Also, like, if you're growing up in an extremely impoverished country, you have a child that you have the opportunity to give to someone who has more wealth than you could even imagine.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, wouldn't you feel obligated to?
You almost feel coerced into saying yes.
Right. I can't imagine.
Don't these people love to talk about power dynamics? What about the power dynamics of something like this?
Madonna's track record, to me, reeks of narcissistic entitlement, posing as charitable outreach and altruism. And she's getting away with it because she is a rich white woman.
Yep.
Like, that's the affluent, that quintessential affluent white liberal female that gets away with doing whatever she wants in a foreign country because it can pose as her altruism and doing good for the needy.
The altruism gives them a shield against anything that they may choose to do.
I haven't seen any major pushback on this, and just because she does an interview like this where she talks about feminism, inclusion, the artist she loves and follows, plans for the future, free expression, and her eternal struggle with patriarchal culture, she gets away with it.
The buzzwords, dude.
Yeah,
the amount of buzzwords
in one
paragraph.
She's trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Anything to get this generated to go into a Google search and come up as relevant to anyone who's looking it up, right?
And in this type of imagery between Madonna, then there's also the Jamie Lee Curtis thing, right?
Jamie Lee Curtis recently posted a photo from one of her offices that was just, totally benign, right? She was talking about the chairs she got from a movie set, and she didn't think that anyone would take notice of the framed photo on the wall of a naked child stuffed into a plastic bin.
My favorite part is like, did she not think anyone would notice, or is she so
That's my question.
past this that she's like, I don't see what's weird about
That's
it.
what we were talking about earlier.
I think it's that one.
I think she's so conditioned to think that it's normal that she does not, that she has a reasonable explanation for why that's art in her mind, and she could not imagine a world where regular people who work 9-to-5 jobs who could never understand this kind of thing would ask questions. This is why I asked the question. I say, is Hollywood demonic people, or is it LARPers pretending to be demonic because they're LARPers?
And does it matter, right?
Yeah.
Like, arguably, it's probably both. And if you invoke something dark because you believe in it, it's can have the same effect as invoking it just because you think it makes you seem edgy and cool.
And
right?
I think the end result ends up being that on the back end, it is actually demonic producers and the people with the money behind it who are fronted by useful idiot LARPers who do whatever they're told for the sake of cool art design, bro, just pay me my money. Well, so either way, you end up in the same place.
Think about like Jamie Lee Curtis, right? Like, do we think she decorates her own offices? I think she has an interior designer, right? So maybe she got her chairs from whatever movie set, but like ultimately someone else is spending her money. Someone else is like, I got this cool art for your office. Maybe she did personally see that art somewhere and was like, I must have that child in a box on my wall. But
Seems weird to me, but
more than likely someone else was like, these are the options for your home. And she was like, I think that's a great choice. Interior designer, great kid in the box,
but
right?
To even be complicit with it and not be disturbed by imagery like that just shows how insulated this culture is.
And what, like, to Brett's point, like, maybe Jamie Lee Curtis is just dumb and is like, I don't see a problem with that because she's so desensitized to it. She's still invoking something dark, whereas there's someone else possibly who selected that on purpose. Like, they are operating in, complicitly.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice, awakening a power that they can't control.
So it's not LARPing or Satanism in like all authenticity. It's both and working together. And then the consequence is kind of the same thing anyway. So the distinction ends up not mattering as much.
Yeah, in the end, we end up in the same place.
Right.
Nothing is ever actually
And I called Madonna's photo shoot like Balenciaga 2.0. Maybe it's not as severely in your face about it, but I mean, these are disembodied baby dolls. It's the same thing. They're art nerds who think it's dope. Okay, they think it's dope. And they're forcing it onto us, and we're just supposed to think that it's high fashion and high art that we as peasants could never understand.
We're literally supposed to just be like, oh, I guess I don't get it. I'm not high class like them, so I guess I just don't understand. Which is even more insulting, somehow. Somehow even more insulting.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.